Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And today's video, we have an unexpected one. Very great timing per my video yesterday, but a banned and restricted announcement was released by Brian Gottlieb where Zephyr Needle is banned. We're going to talk about the ban and restricted announcement. I'm going to give my take on it. It's a little negative, but I'm going to try not to rant. I'm going to try to stay objective, but I'm going to give my thoughts because some of it's a little bit annoying to me, but I know I'm a little bit biased. It's fine. We're going to talk about it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below, channel membership, all that good stuff. So I did not expect to see Zephyr Needle banned. We'll just go through the announcement first, not word by word, but kind of spark note it, and then we'll talk about it. But Brian Gottlieb said, as of effective Friday, January 31st, 2025, which is the release of the Hunted, Zephyr Needle is banned. During the development of Hunted, in the few months following its completion, our development team recognized that Ira was poised to become one of the best decks in the Classic Constructed format. I agree. I personally think, even after testing even more after my tier list, that I do think Ira was the best deck in the format. I don't think it was like tier 0. I disagree with other people. I don't think it was tier 0 like long shot like Zen was or something like that, but I do think it was the best deck in the format, and Needle did contribute to that, right? We just made a video yesterday that I have since unlisted so I don't steer people wrong about the power of Needle and what it can do with the retrieve mechanic. But Zephyr Needle has been a staple in Ira decks since the early Blitz days. However, the addition of up sticks and run had erased almost all of Zephyr Needle's potential downsides. I disagree with that. We'll talk about that here in a second. Add in the ability for retrieve to pull even more attacks per turn out of Zephyr Needle that had been either flicked or successfully defended, and it became clear that retrieve mechanic and Zephyr Needle were not meant to coexist. In general, retrieve was positive from a limited perspective. They thought about making it just one power daggers or less, but they said it was too wordy. There's things way more wordy in this game, so I find that as a funny like reasoning. I'm not going to say excuse because it's not an excuse. I find saying it would be too wordy as a weird, it's just a weird reasoning. There's things in this, like look at Uziri's hero power, for God's sakes. There's so much more wordy things in this game. At almost the exact same time they were having these discussions, Zen was in the midst of a reign of terror and was making the utmost use of Zephyr Needles. We began to contemplate the fact that when Zephyr Needle was getting into the mix, even if played fairly, it was bringing it with somewhat degenerate modes of play. This is insane to me. I'm going to get a little off the deep end for a second. This is insane to me. Like, Zen only used needles in the aggro mirrors, and it got broke a lot, and it wasn't even, like, it was very useful, but Zen wasn't good because of this, or wasn't degenerate because of this. Zen was degenerate because he had Art of War and Bonds of Ancestry, and still has Traverse the Universe, which should have been banned a while back, but it's not going to be because it's a legendary and a set in a brand new market, so there's no way they're going to ban it. That's neither here nor there. It's a different discussion. However, the fact that they use this as a reasoning is very interesting to me because Zephyr Needle wasn't even the top 5 reasons of why Zen had degenerate modes of play. We've talked a lot in the past about allowing players to go on their journey of discovery and get rewarded for figuring out what the best deck. Our initial intention was to wait to see how the Ira deck would develop and how quickly players would catch on. With the expansion, we would probably ban Zephyr Needle at the March 4th BNR based on early tier lists and community deck lists. It's safe to say players have forced our hand ahead of schedule. This is interesting to me, and I know you can look at this from a positive light and say LSS is learning from past mistakes. However, I think there's ways to play around Needle. Defense reactions hurt Needle. Yes, you can get it back with the retrieve mechanic with up sticks and run and pick up the point, but if you don't see those cards, there's also a big downside to misplaying Needle. And no one's going to talk about that in a community deck list or in a tier list or in a video like mine, because why would I talk about like what's bad about the card, at least initially, right? You want to kind of get ahead of the game. If you misplay on a Needle and you don't get a retrieve card quickly, like you start to lose insane value on Ira and start to really hurt yourself. Unless you get super lucky and keep drawing in all your go-agains and like end on a 2 for 6, it can get really annoying really fast, and so that's why I don't agree with this. But this is what they're going into. Basically, my thoughts are I'm a little bit annoyed by it. I know I'm biased, and I'm okay with saying that I'm biased. I wanted to see Ira be really, really good. I still think Ira is really good. I still think even with the Needle ban, Ira is going to be a top 3 deck in the format. I don't think it changes. It just closes the gap a little bit between her and some other decks. I still think her Viserai matchup is unfavored, even with Needle. Dynamo Warrior is not fun, even with Needle. That matchup is true 50-50, if not slightly unfavored. She can struggle a little bit into really fast decks if you play them properly, even with Needle. So all I have to say, I'm just surprised that Needle was banned like this when we've kept other cards in the format for multiple formats, like Belittle, Crown of Seeds stayed around forever until it finally got banned when it didn't even matter. I'll talk about that in a second. Traverse the Universe is still a card in Zen that should be banned. Like, the fact that that card's still a thing. I know it's not a stagnant weapon that attacks every turn. I know there's some differences, but it's just, there's like, not I want to say a double standard. That sounds like malintent, but it's a little bit frustrating. The other thing is the timing of this. I understand that they said here, Brian said here, that they were going to see it, wait and see if people would catch on by March 4th, and then they saw community deck list, early tier list, which means they're listening to us, which is great as a community. But like this, I think, in my opinion, I am one person, and people can take my opinion for what they want. It's totally fine. This either should have been waited until we see what the meta looks like in March 4th, or they should have done this before the world premiere. You have to do one or the other. You can't do it, half-cocked like this. Like, they waited until after the world premiere, almost a week after the world premiere. We're about to have our pre-releases in 3 to 4 days. A lot of people have already ordered boxes. Now, are people ordering boxes of Hunted because of how good Ira is and Needle? Probably not. And I'm not saying LSS did this on purpose, because I know LSS has our backs on like timing and trying to make the best game possible. But it feels really bad. People got excited for the set. They saw the world premiere. They're seeing community deck lists. They're seeing content on Ira. They're ordering maybe boxes, pre-ordering singles. People might even shell out and, buy those dual threats, buy Shelter of the Storm, buy Flick Knives in order to play Ira. And now you just took away one of her power pieces before it even got a chance to go. Like, in my opinion, you either make this call before the world premiere, before spoilers. This should have came out, like, if spoilers, like, I don't think it's going to pop up here. It's not my calendar. But the world premiere was the 18th, right? The weekend of the 18th. Spoilers were leading up to that, the 13th through the 17th, basically. This should have came out on, like, the 11th. Or maybe even the 13th. This should have came out on day one of spoilers before the world premiere. It should not have came out now. I don't like the timing of this. I understand why they did it, and I'm not saying they had malintent with it whatsoever, but it should have. The timing is bad, in my opinion. And then you have other top decks in the format that have egregious cards that just Assassin just got a 0 for 3 attack reaction that blocks 3 at yellow. That costs nothing to play, that changes the entire structure of a card into something that can completely warp the entire game. Zen still has Traverse the Universe, which is a demonic tutor that goes and gets his most powerful card and also blocks 2, right? Like, we have these insane cards, but we can't let Needle play out for one RTN season to see how good it actually is. That's just my opinion. But I know I'm biased, and I still respect the hell out of LSS. I know that they have the best intentions, even if I don't agree with like how things were handled. Still had the best intentions. I know they're not doing anything with malintent or with like trying to think of ways to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. So regardless, I still think Ira's a top 3 deck in the game. She's definitely not going to have as craziest playlines, because you can still do the same things, right? Like, you can still do Kadachi for 1. They don't block it, and then you play up. You Flick Knives the other Kadachi and the first Kadachi. You play up sticks and run. You play your second Kadachi for 6, and then you go on. Right, you're just not playing your Needle for 7, and you're not getting that like bait style. The only play lines you're really going to miss is leading with Needle for 2, and forcing your opponent to either block it or take 2 damage. Because if you lead with a 2-power Needle, your opponent knows you have a way to get it back if they block it. So you're like forcing their hand. That's the play lines it kind of takes away when Needle goes away, along with the incremental +1 value for having a 1 for 2 dagger. But honestly, the other play lines don't change, which is why I'm surprised that Needle was banned. But regardless, let me know what your thoughts are. If you completely disagree and you think this is a great move and you have no issues with it, that's completely fine. I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. Love to get your thoughts on it. Regardless, I love the game. I know LSS has the best intentions. I know they're trying to do right by the game. And, at the end of the day, even though my biased that I love Ira is showing. I'm glad that they're learning from past things, right? When they let Belittle kind of run rampant, they let these cards run rampant, they let Bonds of Ancestry run rampant for a little bit. Maybe they're trying to learn from that. So I get it. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'd love to hear it. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If not me, go to the Google Sheet down below. Look at other amazing creators who are making great content. Let me know what y'all think about them, who your favorite creator is. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank y'all so much.